The Philadelphia Eagles just keep doing the impossible, as their recent trade for wide receiver Jahan Dotson is just one of many shocking and very improbable moves that general manager Howie Roseman has pulled off in recent memory, and this trade specifically could end up being game-changing, as there's reason to believe that Jahan Dotson could help take the already extremely talented Eagles offense to new heights this season, as he adds a whole new dynamic to Kellen Moore's system that could make the Birds offense even more unstoppable. So we're going to talk all about that and more in this video today, and we won't waste any time. Let's get straight into it. So obviously the Eagles shook up the NFL world yesterday when the news broke that they had pulled off an in-division trade for a very recent first-round pick in wide receiver Jahan Dotson. And initially, I was very excited, like I'm sure a large majority of Eagles fans were. Speaking of which, if you're new, I'm Evan and I cover all things Philadelphia Eagles. And if you missed the trade yesterday or the details of it, the Birds were able to come to an agreement with the Commanders to acquire Dotson and a 2025 fifth-round pick in exchange for a 2025 third-round pick and two 2025 seventh-rounders as well. And now looking back on it a day later, this trade still remains insane, as it just doesn't make sense how the Eagles were able to pull this off. I mean, Dotson is somebody who, despite his struggles and inconsistency at times, is still clearly a very talented player with a lot of upside, and he's also still young, and with 2 years left on his rookie deal, he still had plenty of time left to develop into the player that the Commanders wanted him to become, but it's apparent that he fell out of favor quickly with a new coaching staff, and I guess the Commanders just decided that they wanted to move on. But even so, it still doesn't make sense to me how Howie Roseman convinced them that it was a good idea to trade him to their in-division rivals in the Eagles, who already had a super stacked offense to begin with. But hey, Howie has made a habit of pulling off crazy moves that just don't make sense, and I gotta give him credit because Howie is just relentless when it comes to improving the roster and filling it out with elite talent. I mean, the Eagles could have very well gone into the season with the guys they had in the wide receiver room and been just fine, but Howie saw the hole at wide receiver 3 and saw an opportunity to make a clear upgrade, and he made it happen. And now, instead of using a combination of unproven guys like Britton Covey, who has been really impressive at camp, and I also honestly love him and was rooting for him, but also, if we're being completely honest, he is a little limited by his smaller size. Then Johnny Wilson, who is dealing with a concussion and has tailed off a bit in camp. You got Paris Campbell, who's been inconsistent and was also dealing with an injury during camp, and John Ross as well, who is dealing with a concussion right now. But the Eagles will now just turn to Dotson to fill that void at wide receiver 3. And unlike those guys, Dotson has proven over the course of a couple years that he has talent, he can produce, he can make big plays, and he has the potential to be a high-level NFL wide receiver. And when you add that onto what is already a super talented Eagles offense with crazy potential, that's a scary thing for NFL defenses. I mean, the Eagles offense was already getting a lot of attention and turning heads with what they've been doing this summer at training camp, with pretty much every key guy looking really good. I mean, to start out, A.J. Brown was unstoppable as expected, as the All-Pro wideout made play after play during camp, whether it was nice red zone touchdown catches or huge plays on deep throws from Jalen Hurts or crazy one-handed catches. A.J. caught just about everything thrown his way, as he looks like he's on his way to having a great season, and his connection with Jalen Hurts is stronger than ever. And overall, Brown finished training camp pulling in 68 catches on 86 targets and 5 touchdowns. Meanwhile, the other half to the Eagles' lethal wide receiver duo in DeVonta Smith was fantastic at camp as well, as like AJ, he made a ton of crazy plays, including repeatedly victimizing Eagles' big talented cornerback Keely Ringo in jump ball situations, and having some nice sideline catches as well, just to name a few plays. And Eagles wide receiver coach Aaron Moorhead even said at one point that he believed this was DeVonta's best camp yet. And when it was all said and done, DeVonta had 54 catches on 80 targets and 4 touchdowns. So it definitely seems like both AJ and DeVonta are in prime condition and are ready to come out and have massive seasons for the Birds in their third year together. And then you got the tight end Dallas Goedert, who kind of already gets forgotten about at times with just all the talent the Birds have on offense, but he had a very good camp as well, as he was a beast in the red zone, catching a bunch of touchdowns, including getting 3 in 1 practice session during the Birds open practice at the Link, and in total pulling down 6 all camp, which led the team. Goedert seems to be more involved in the offense than he was last year, with Kellen Moore implementing an increase in tight end usage and also using them in different ways.
Yeah, there's definitely different stuff for us. Obviously, we're moving around trying to get tells with the defense. Getting into those quick throws to the tight ends has probably been one of my favorite things that we added into it. I think those can be beneficial for the tight ends and the whole team as a general. So that's probably what I'd have to say.
So it certainly sounds like Goedert could be well on his way to having a very nice season based on that. And then you got Saquon Barkley, of course, who has unsurprisingly gotten a ton of the hype during training camp, with him being probably the Eagles' most exciting new addition. And he's been great as well, getting a ton of touches during practices, 74 to be exact, and looking good in those opportunities. And it's not just been on the ground that Barkley has been utilized, as he's also been a big threat in the receiving game, with a 25-plus yard touchdown catch on a wheel route versus the Patriots in joint practice being the play that comes to mind when you talk about that. But then again, it's far from the only play Barkley made in the receiving game during camp, as he had 27 total catches on 31 targets. And just overall, based on the camp Barkley has had and with all the hard work he's put in this offseason, it seems like he's ready to come out here and have a phenomenal year as well. And Barkley even outlined his mindset and long-term aspirations in a recent press conference, and what he said was pretty awesome.
I just want to be great, man. That's it. I just want to take it to the highest level that I can take it, and that's my goal. Will asked me the other day, what keeps you going? That's literally the same answer I gave him. That's where I want to be. That's where I want to go. And I'm not going to stop. I'm going to keep trying. And sometimes, the reality of it, a lot of people don't get to reach their full potential. But at the end of the day, if I know I can put my all into it and I don't reach it, when it's all said and done, I'll be happy.
So it's just awesome to hear that Barkley has such high expectations for himself when it's all said and done. And Barkley very clearly has the right mentality as he's working towards achieving those goals. And there's no doubt in my mind that he's going to make a ton of progress towards them this season, and he's going to have an overall great year in his first season with the Birds, while also being one of the biggest factors in transforming the offense. And the other huge factor in doing that is new offensive coordinator Kellen Moore, as the bright young play caller has come in here and completely revamped the Eagles' offense and just made it so much better. As opposed to last year, we can now expect to see things like pre-snap motion, complex route trees from the wide receivers, routes over the middle of the field, and hot routes, just to name a few things. And we've already seen a bit of it with lesser talent in the Eagles' preseason games, and judging by how all the Eagles' key starters have looked during camp, including Jalen Hurts, who probably had just about the best training camp anybody could have hoped for, it seems like the new offensive changes made by Kellen Moore are going to end up making the offense just so much better. And now we've come full circle back to Jahan Dotson, who is yet just another weapon for Kellen Moore to take advantage of within his system. And there's reason to believe that Dotson can take the offense to an even higher level. And don't worry, we'll get to that in just a minute, but real quick, I do want to say, if you are enjoying this video and don't want to miss any other Eagles content or coverage coming in the future, make sure you guys subscribe and also really importantly turn on notifications so you're notified instantly when one of these videos is uploaded. I think that's a win for the both of us, because not only do I get more people consistently watching the videos, but you don't miss any other Eagles coverage or content just like this. So again, subscribe, turn on notifications, and also drop a like down below. Let's see if we can hit 1,000 likes on today's video. Now, with all that being said, let's get back into the video. Now, as I was saying, Dotson is a rather intriguing addition to Kellen Moore's offense because in Philly, he's going to be the fifth option, but in most other places, he would likely be a much bigger focal point of the offense because he's a guy that has a ton of ability and upside, and we've seen that on display before in the league, as he's made a number of big plays during his 2 seasons with the Washington Commanders and provided some highlights. And the thing about Dotson is, not only is he a clear upgrade at the wide receiver 3 position right now, but this was also a move for the future, as Dotson has only been in the league for 2 years, going on his 3rd, so he has 2 years left on his rookie contract, and he's still just 24 years old, so he has plenty of room to grow and develop with the Eagles in these next few years, while still being on just a rookie scale contract. But while this move is for the most part positive, there are some reasons to be skeptical, as Dotson has had his struggles during his 2 years with Washington, and he's been rather inconsistent, with his 13.4% targets per route run and 0.86 yards per route run being the lowest among receivers last year, and his 7.4 drop percentage was the 10th highest in the league, and quarterbacks had just a 58.2 passer rating when targeting him last year, so again, there are definitely reasons to be a bit concerned. However, there is also good reason to believe that a change of scenery is exactly what he needed, and specifically coming to Philly could just really help him out a ton. I mean, it's clear that while Dotson may be in his head a little bit, which is causing some of his struggles, he still has a ton of talent and ability, and it's just about him realizing his potential. And what better culture to be thrown into than that of the Philadelphia Eagles, which is one of the best organizations in the league, and to be put in the same wide receiver room as 2 star players in A.J. Brown and DeVonta Smith, where he can not only learn from them, but also a ton of pressure is going to be taken off of him because, again, he's obviously just the 3rd wide receiver and the 5th offensive option, so he's not going to be the guy defenses are really focused in on, and he should have favorable matchups against teams' 3rd best corners or safeties that just have no business guarding him. And as we've seen him do in the past, he should be able to take advantage of those opportunities. And again, while Dotson obviously won't get that many targets with him being the 5th option and all, he's still going to be a threat to make occasional big plays and an overall impact because he's going to get a lot of favorable matchups. Because as much as the concerns are valid for Dotson, again, if you watched him, it's also clear that he has a lot of talent and the capability of producing and making plays. Which is why it's still just so crazy to me that this guy is the Eagles' 3rd best wide receiver and 5th option on offense. And having a guy of that stature in that spot just makes the offense even more unstoppable, and despite despite this guy being a Jalen Hurts hater and all, I do think Emmanuel Acho put it really well and very simply by saying that if AJ doesn't win on a play or get open, then Smitty will. And if Smitty isn't open, then Dotson will be. And if he's not, then Goedert will be. And if he's not, then Barkley will be. And that's not even mentioning Jalen Hurts and his rushing ability. I mean, there's just so many things to account for when facing this Eagles offense. And with an offensive coordinator that has engineered 2 #1 ranked units in the NFL before in Kellen Moore, I think it's safe to assume that this offense is going to be pretty much unstoppable this year. And you also have to ask a question that I've seen floating around the internet since this trade happened. Is this the best offensive core in Eagles history? Well, that question cannot be answered until a later date, but you can certainly give me your thoughts on the Eagles offense and where they currently stand with now the addition of Jahan Dotson down in the comments below. And also, while you're at it, make sure you guys subscribe, and again, really importantly, turn on notifications so you're notified instantly when one of these videos is uploaded. The Eagles got their last preseason game tomorrow, and I'm going to be covering everything from that, as well as roster cuts on Tuesday, and then of course moving towards the regular season. So again, subscribe, turn on notifications, and also drop a like. Let's see if we can hit 1,000 likes on today's video. Hitting that like button really does help me out a ton. So again, if you did enjoy this video, make sure you do that to show some support. And if you want to watch another video giving my initial thoughts and reaction to the Jahan Dotson trade, you can check this out right here. And now with all that being said, that's pretty much all I got for this one, guys. So thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.